Welcome to this step-by-step tutorial on how to manage ownership in Oracle Financial Consolidation and Closed Cloud. Statutory reporting presents the consolidated results of a reporting or holding company and the companies that it owns directly or indirectly. If you have enabled ownership management for your application, you enter ownership percentages for each child to its parent. The percentages represent the subsidiary's percent ownership by the holding company. You designate one child as the holding company. Ownership for the holding company is always 100%. Statutory rules for consolidation vary with the holding company's percent ownership of its subsidiary. The consolidation method determines the percent consolidation of the owned entity to the parent and sets the control flag to yes or no. The control flag indicates whether the parent has a controlling interest in the child. If the control flag is yes, and ownership is less than 100%, a minority interest percentage is calculated. The system assigns consolidation methods automatically based on the ownership percentage. By default, entities owned greater than 50% are assigned the subsidiary consolidation method, entities owned greater than 20% up to 50% are assigned the equity method, and entities owned 0 to 20% the not consolidated method. You can modify the default consolidation method settings and add your own custom methods. For more information on consolidation methods, see the Managing Consolidation Methods video. To manage ownership for entities, click Consolidation in the Applications cluster, then select a POV. I want to enter ownership information for children of the Consol 12 parent for January 2018, so I'll change the entity to Consol 12 and click Refresh. When you enter ownership information for a period, it carries forward to all future periods in the current year, but not to future years. For legal entity 13, I'll enter 40 as the ownership percentage. Notice that the equity consolidation method was assigned to the entity. The equity method sets the control flag to no and assigns 0 as the consolidation percentage. If needed, you can manually override the assignments for consolidation method and control. I'll select the proportional method for legal entity 13. The proportional method sets percent consolidation equal to percent ownership. To assign legal entity 12 as the holding company, I'll select the holding consolidation method. The holding company is always owned and consolidated at 100%. After you save your changes, values with overrides are shaded orange. Overrides carry forward to all future periods for the current year. You can select Clear Overrides to restore the default settings for an entity. I'll clear the override values for legal entity 13. The default consolidation method and control setting have been restored. You must clear the override from the first period to which it is applied. A parent can own entities indirectly. In this application, Consol Entity 11 is the parent of Consol Entity 12, of which it owns 50%. It therefore has indirect ownership of the entities owned by Consol Entity 12. In Parent Legal Entity View, you can view the indirect ownership percentages. This view shows all the base level entities directly or indirectly owned by a parent. Here I can see that Consol Entity 11 owns 20% of Legal Entity 13. This represents 50% of Consol Entity 12's 40% ownership of Legal Entity 13. If needed, you can override the default consolidation method and control setting for indirectly owned entities. In this application, Legal Entity 14 is a child of both Consol Entity 12 and Consol Entity 13. For entities shared by multiple parents, the default ownership percentage is 100 for the primary instance and 0 for shared instances. You can enter ownership percentages for the shared members. The total for the primary and shared instances cannot exceed 100%. I'll enter 60% ownership for Consol Entity 12 and 40% for Consol Entity 13. The subsidiary consolidation method is assigned for the 12 parent and the equity method for the 13 parent. The subsidiary method sets the consolidation percentage to 100 and control to yes. You can import ownership information from flat files. Required fields are scenario, year, period, entity, and parent. The percent owned, method, and control fields are optional. This file contains ownership data for legal entities 16 and 17, setting the ownership of each to 70. I've left the method and control fields empty, so the values for these fields will be filled based on the ownership percentage. Select Import Ownership Data from the Actions menu to import ownership information. You can browse your local file system to select a file. Entities 16 and 17 have been updated with the values from the file. When you create an application, the first year of the application defaults to 100% ownership for all entities for all periods. Ownership information for all future years is left blank. You must copy ownership information from the last period of a year to the following year before you can enter ownership information or consolidate data for that year. The ownership information is copied to all periods of the following year. I'll consolidate Consol Entity 12 for January 2018 to verify my ownership settings. The consolidation percentage specified by the consolidation method is applied at the proportion member of the consolidation dimension. I'll enter 100 for each entity. Now I'll run consolidation for Consol Entity 12. On the Manage Ownership page, I entered 40% as the ownership percentage for legal entity 13, and it was assigned the equity method, for which the consolidation percentage is 0. I entered 60% ownership for legal entity 14, and it was assigned the subsidiary method, for which the consolidation percentage is 100%. I assigned legal entity 12 the holding method. The holding company is always owned and consolidated at 100%. Based on the ownership percentage and consolidation methods, a total of 200 was consolidated to the parent. In this tutorial, you learned how to manage ownership in Oracle Financial Consolidation and Close Cloud. To learn more, visit cloud.oracle.com.